Hamlin towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Weser deep and wide washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied. Where when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago. See the townsfolk suffer so, from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in the cradles and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles. Split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nest in the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chat by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. 'Tis clear, cried they, our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lined with vermin, for dolts who can't and won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate we'll send you packing. At this the mayor and corporation quaked with a mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my forehead aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door but a gentle tap. Bless us, cried the mayor, what's that? With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than a too long opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous, for a plagued turtle green in glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. Come in, cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin. The lips were smile went out and in, there was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, it's as my great-grandsire, starting up with the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone. He advanced towards the council table, and please, your honor, said he, I am able, by means of secret charm to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, they crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper. People call me the Pied Piper. And here they notice round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of self-same check. And that scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. Yes, said he, Pied Piper as I am, in Tartary I bred the cam. Last June from his huge swarms of gnats, I eased in Asia the Nizam of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 50,000 was the exclamation of an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and the muttering grew to a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling, great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, gray-gold plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, awkward tails and prickly whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, where all plunged and perished, save one stout of Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to Ratland home his commentary. which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as a scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses gripe, and a moving away of pickle tub boards, leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, the drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and a breaking loops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice, sweeter far than by harp or by psalteries breathed, called out, "Oh, rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast dry saltery, so munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just enough bulky sugar punch on, already stayed like the great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me, just as me thought it said come for me, found the western rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells till he rocked the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, and get long poles, poke out the nests and block up the holes, consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly up the face of the piper perked in the marketplace, the first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders. The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too, for council dinners made rare havoc with Claret, Moselle, Vin de Grave, Hawk, and half the money would replenish the seller's biggest butt of Rhenish to pay the sum to a wondering fellow with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes firm and sink, what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, the matter of money to put in your coat. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, was a joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promise a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, except the crime of the head cook's potage. All he's rich in, for having left in the Caleb's kitchen of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I proved no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait a stiver. And folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vegetable, threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe, the smooth straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds justling and pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering, and like foals in the farmyard when barley is scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping ran merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood as if they were changed into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by. Could only follow with an eye the joyous crowd on the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat as the piper turned from the high street to where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. How it returned from south to west, to Culpeper Kill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top. He's forced to let this piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced and the children followed, and when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No one was lame, and could not dance a whole of the way. And in after years, if you would blame his sadness, he was used to say, it is dull in our towns my playmates left. I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in jest at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers put forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was bred in a peacock here, and our dogs outran our fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings, and just as I became assured, my lame foot would be speedily cured, the music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas for Hamelin, king of many a burger's pate, a text which says that heaven's gate opes the rich at his easy rate, as an eagle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south, talking the piper by word of mouth, wherever it was man's lot to find him. Silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas lost endeavor, the piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, the better in memory to fix, the place of the children's last retreat, they call it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pint or tabor was sure for his future lose his labor, nor suffered they hostelry or tavern, shocked with mirth the street so solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not admit to say, that in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison, into which they were Japan, a long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats and from mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. Welcome to the stream, viewers. Ooh, 2 viewers, wow. That was a poem by Robert Browning, the Pied Piper of Hamelin. He was a Victorian poet. I took a Victorian literature course in university, and I memorized that poem. I didn't memorize it when I was in university, but I recently memorized it. I also know another poem by him. I might recite in a moment. These are bagels. I'm baking bagels this morning. That's my most one. Here's another poem by Robert Browning. It's another long one. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and most scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What saved the waylay with his lies and snare? All travelers who might find him posted there, and asked the road. I guessed what skull-like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track, which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescingly I did turn as acquainted, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end descried, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out for years, my hope dwindled into a ghost was fit to cope with that strenuous joy success would bring. I hardly try now to reduce the string my heart may find the failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freely outside. Since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with carabao banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in his quest, heard failure prophesied so oft been writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who to dark tower search should rest their steps, that just to fail as they seem best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red near to see the plane catch its stray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged to the plain after a pace or two, than pausing to go backward a last view. Over the safe road 'twas gone, great plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went, I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove. But chortle and spurge, according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to awe. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove. No penury, inertness, in grimace, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly. It nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this pace. Calcine's clods set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else. What made the holes and rents in the dock harsh forest leaves? Bruised as to balk all hope of greenness. 'Tis a brute must walk, passion their life over the brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair and leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, his every bone a stare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red, gaunt, and callop neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart as a man calls for wine before he fights. I asked one draught of earlier, happier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of old time sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold. An arm in mine fixed me to that place. Hello, welcome to the stream. Sorry for the shaky video.
We're baking bagels today.
My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee, the pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What saved waylay with his lies and snare? Old travelers might find him posted there, and ask the road. I guessed what skull like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track, which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescingly I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end descried, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost no thick with hope of that treacherous joy success could bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring, my heart may find a failure in its scope. As a sick man very near the best of his dead at need, and feels begin and end the tears, he takes the farewell of each friend, and hears when bid the other go, draw breath freelier outside. Since all is over, he saith, in the blow falling of neither pen and men. While some discuss between other grades be room enough for this, and when the day sees best for carrying the corpse away, with terrible banners, scarps, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so oft been writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who to dark towers search addressed their steps, that just to fail as they seem best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its astray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged to the plain after a pace or two, then pausing through backward a last view, over the safe road 'twas gone, great plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to view. So on I went. I think I never saw such dark and noble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect to see a grove, but chortle and spurge according to their law might propagate their kind with none to awe. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove. No pen reader, missing grimace, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly. If nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment, fire must cure this place. Calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged pistol stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous elves. What made the holes and rents in the dock's harsh shores leagues, bruised as to block all hope of greenness. 'Tis a brute must walk, pashing their life out the brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair and leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked with mud, which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, as every bone was stare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red gaunt and callous neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked for one draught of earlier, happier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, a soldier's art. One taste of old times sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him cold. An arm in mine fixed me to the place. That way he used to last one night's disgrace. Oh, when my heart grew fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands. Frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene shifts. Paul went with his hand into his breast of parchment. His own band reads it. Poor traitor spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back there forded my darkening path. The soundless sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howl or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden little river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial to the wounds. This is a froth by might have been a bath for the fiend's glowing hoof, to see the wrath of its black eddies be spat with flakes and spoons. So petty yet so spiteful, all along low scrubby alders kneeled over it. Drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rout despair. A suicidal throng, the river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek. Each step or feel the spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I to reach other banks, now for a better country. Vain presage, who are the strugglers? What war did they wage? Whose savage trample could thus pad the dank soil to a plash? Toads in a poisoned tank, or wild cats in a red-hot cage. The fight must so have seemed in that foul surf. What penned them there with all the plain to choose? No footsteps leading to that horrid muse. None out of it. Mad brewers set to work their brains, no doubt, like galley slaves that turn pits for his pastime Christians against Jews. And more than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for? That wheel, or brake not wheel, that harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of conflict's tool, on earth left unaware, or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. Then came some stub ground, once a wood, next a marsh it would seem, now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool finds mirth, makes a thing and mars it till his mood changes, and off he goes, within a rude bog clay and marsh sand, stark black dirt. Now blotches rankling colored gay and grim, now patches where some leanness of the soils broke into moss or substances like boils. Then came a palsied oak, a cleft in him, a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it recoils. As far as ever from the end, not in the distance but the evening knot, to point my footsteps further at the thought, great black bird, Apollyon's bosom's friend, sailed past nor beat his wide wings dragon penned, that brushed my cap, perchance the guide I sought. For looking up aware I somehow grew, the plain had given place all round to mountains with such names to grace mere heights and heaps now stolen in view. How thus they surprised me solving you, how to get from there was no clear case. Yet half I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief had happened to me, God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps. Here ended then progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time came a click, as when the trap shuts, you're in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once, this was the place. Those two hills to the right crouched like two bulls locked horn in fight, while to the left the tall scalp mountain, Dun's daughter to dozing at the very nunce after a lifetime of training for the sight. What in the midst lay with its tower itself, the round squat turret, built of brown, blind as a fool's heart, built of brown stone without a counterpart. The tempest mocking off points to the shipman, thus the unseen shelf he strikes on, only when timbers start. Not see, because of night perhaps, why day came back to that. Behind it left the dying sunset kindled through a cleft, The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay. Now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not here, when noise was everywhere it told, increasing like bells in my ears, names in my ears. Of lost adventurers, my peers, how such was strong, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old, lost one moment, now the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside, met a living frame for one more picture in a sheet of flame. I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless, a slughorn through my lips I set and blew. Child rolling to a dark tower came. Ugh. I sort of messed up those last two stanzas. Last three stanzas. Not see, because of night perhaps, why day came back for that. Behind it left the dying sunset, kindled through a cleft. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay. Now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not here, when noise was everywhere. It told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears of lost adventurers, my peers. How such was strong and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of all lost one moment, now the bowl of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside met, to view the last of me, a living frame, for one more picture in a sheet of flame. I saw them and not knew them all, and yet, dauntless, a slughorn to my lips I set and blew. Child rolling to a dark tower came. I am working on expanding my repertoire, so one day I will recite another poem other than these two. I am working on I'm memorizing the Hymn to Proserpina by Swinburne. There we go, our first batch of bagels. Here, I'll show you a bagel. Here we go. There's a nice one. bagel. Oh yeah, everything's the next batch. It's right there. It's brown. It's browning on the. I browned it on one side. Now I'm browning it on the other side. Personally, I'm a big fan of everything bagel. It's a little bit too much. I like sesame. I like cinnamon. Yeah, sesame and cinnamon are my favorites by far. Oh, I like plain too. Plain's good. I'll eat a multigrain once in a while just to feel healthy. Sesame. I think cinnamon's my all-time favorite though. And then it's sesame. And then it's multigrain. And then we make a bagel here called almost gluten-free, and then I think almost gluten-free is probably my, is that 4? I think that's 4, yeah. I'll eat that for business. Cinnamon with PB&J. Oh my god, that's the best. I have at least 2. I have 2 of those a week, I think. That's what I'm up to now. I could probably eat 1 a day, but I try to limit myself a bit. Oh, Victoria. Yeah, oh, Victoria's a great city. I hope one day that we can open a store in Victoria. Because I would love to live in Victoria. That would be a great place to live. This location's in East Vancouver on Commercial Drive. Yeah, the islands. I try to go there at least once or twice a year. I haven't gone yet this year. I need to go. Should go at the end of August, I think. Or early September. Or first week of September. Victoria's really nice in the fall. I like going there then on. Yeah, I love Victoria's restaurants. I'd love to be a part of that community, for sure. No, it's water. It's water and honey. Well, the water I put on the boards is this water. The water in the pot has honey in it. These are Montreal style bagels, or, well, I don't know if I should call them that even. No, this water. This water. Everything bagels are almost done. I apologize for the shaky table. There's a big window over, or glass pane over there that I can put it on, but I think it's too far away. So, jalapeno cream cheese. We got sriracha lime. That's the closest we have. Sriracha lime. It's decent. I'm not a huge fan of sriracha, but I like the lime flavor. Yeah. It's one of our most popular flavors. We also have pesto. My favorite is pesto. I love pesto cream cheese. These are everything bagels. I'm a bagel shepherd. Yes, it is. It is very delicious. Bagels are good. Yes. Bagels are just bread with extra toasting. They have this, they're toasted on, there's this more surface area to toast. And everybody loves toast. Breadsmith. I haven't heard of Breadsmith. Is that a bakery on the island? I know there's a bakery, there's a bagel shop on the island called Mount Royal. And they opened a shop in North Vancouver a few years ago. About the same time we opened our first shop. Mount Royal Bagels. I think our business would do very well on Victoria, on the Vancouver Island. Perhaps. Yes, yeah, they're boiled in this giant pot right here. This is boiling water with honey added to it. The honey is there to add flavor and browning and that kind of stuff. Oh my god. Just stirring the pot. Bagels are in there. And this batch is almost ready. I'm going to take it out of the pot in a moment. So get my boards nice and wet. These boards are mahogany. And they should last 3 to 4 months. As long as the baker is taking care of them. They do require some care. The oven's right now it's at 375. But it's probably warmer. It's probably hotter than that. These ovens vary a lot. The back of the oven's probably about 400 degrees, and the front of the oven's about 350 degrees. So the temperature down here is just it's more of an average. It's 375. I like to have my oven set between about 380 and 360 is the ideal temperature. That 360 to 380. My oven is currently at 375. These are plain bagels, so I'm not dressing them at all. And they're really hot to touch. I like dressing the bagels that you dress are cooler to touch. They're not as hot on the fingers. Okay, we're gonna put another. There's my poppy is ready now. I'm gonna take it out. Because I keep it wet. It does burn. It does burn eventually. Like you can see on the edges, it's starting to blacken. But I try to keep it. How often I change my gloves? I change them. I don't know. When they get ripped. I don't touch the cooked bagels with the gloves. But if I was changing them off, like these are expensive and it's wasteful, so I try not to go through too many of them. So usually when they rip, I'll change them. But as long as I'm not handling the baked bagels, it shouldn't be a problem. Anything that goes through this oven is going to be sanitized. Thoroughly sanitized. It's a hot oven. No, I have a university degree. I went to the University of Calgary. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Communication and Culture. But I've worked in the food industry since I left high school. But I know I'm just doing this because I love it, and I want to go back to school. I want to get a master's in English literature with a specialization in Robert Browning, Victorian literature. Yeah. So I'm a university-educated baker. But I've worked in bakeries for about 10 years or more. I know this business. Good morning. Welcome to the stream. These are rainbow bagels. Rainbow bagels. The rainbow bagel. Oh, nice. I think I like cooking, but more than I like baking. But this is a nice mixture of the two. So I think that's why I like this so much. It's like cooking and baking all in one. I really do like cooking. I don't think I'm a great cook or anything like that. But I know how to cook a healthy meal for myself. Just adding some water to my pot. I'm going to change my gloves now. We got 4 batches in the oven, and I'm going to put another batch in the, these are bagels. I'm baking bagels. And I'm going to put another batch in the pot soon. Eat it. Can't eat while I'm working. You see one of those? Yeah. This one's almost done. Oh. Fell in the water. Had to throw it away. Well, okay, this one's only half baked. This is a plain bagel that's half baked. Or not even half baked, I guess. It hasn't browned yet. It's an unripe fruit. Oh, sorry, I missed that.